All right, guys, what is up? Alternate Investor here, bringing you our final summary for our two cases of Riftbound Unleashed that we opened, and our final thoughts, analysis, what we can expect for estimated value, and a look at potential return on investment. So, first, as I complained about from the onset of this series, about halfway through case one, confirmed in case two. We have a couple huge problems that we need to deal with. You have the legends that are being overprinted, and this potential fixing of certain cards within the set that you're basically guaranteed to get certain numbers of. And in this case, the runes, the showcase runes that are being printed, appear to be a fixed number in every single case, which means in every single booster box, your odds are strictly 1 in 6 of opening one, if not more, showcase runes. But you are guaranteed that once the other boxes in that case hit their runes, you're not getting any. So you basically burned up your potential for getting one of these showcase runes if everybody else in that case has opened up their box. We'll return to the idea of the fixing that's going on there and the potential issues that presents. But the other big thing I want to make sure that gets discussed is the legends. So in both of our pack openings, or I'm sorry, our case openings, we got exactly 69 legends of different, well, not really different quantities. Basically, we got 6 of each one with the exception of a few one-offs. So you had 6 of all of these in case number 2. We just happened to only get 5 LeBlancs, 5 Poppies, and 5 Jins. In case number 1, we got 6 of all of the legends with the exception of Vex Gloomist that we got 5, and LeBlanc that we got 4. Now, my guess is that they more than likely are setting a certain number of legends that go in every single booster case and just switching out certain ones for the number of showcases or legendaries you're expecting to hit inside of your case. What does that mean? That means that out of your potential 432 possible rare slots, rare, foil, common, uncommon, whatever the case may be, you're forced to take on approximately 69 legends, or 20% of your total potential rare slots for left for that. Now, I'm discounting the number of foil commons and uncommons, and I will run through all these stats here in just a second. So where that 20% number comes from is basically all of the potential rares once you factor out foil commons and uncommons. But if you want to do the strict math on the number of legends you can expect to get in the total possible rare slots, the foil slots, it's 69 out of 432. Do that math for yourself. That's not the way I chose to do the math on this one because I want to factor out the known factor of getting foils, commons, and uncommons in here as well. So I'm curious what other people's case openings look like. Do you get the exact same number of legends? Do you get 6 of each one, except for a couple, just like I have, and maybe it's 68, 70, maybe it fluctuates slightly. But my guess is it's going to be sticking right around that 20% of your possible rare slots. And again, it feels like this is a fixed number in each case because, again, one of each showcase rune in each case, and every time I opened any legend, it was no more than 6 for any one of these slots. And again, we just got a couple one-offs that had 1 less or 2 less in the case of this LeBlanc in case number 1. So, not a huge fan of what's going on there. I don't find that acceptable. These aren't random odds. You shouldn't have a fixed cap on any one of these. You also shouldn't be fixing the number of these cards that appear in any case. It should be more randomized than that. And it currently appears that it's not. Now, unless I just happen to get 2 perfectly fluked cases, I could be wrong. But my guess is if I were to go open a third case, it probably ends up exactly the same, 6 of each legend with the exception of a couple one-offs. Because it was consistent with the rares as well. The available rare slots you had certain kinds that all presented themselves as 6-ofs. You had certain cards that all presented them, or certain rares specifically, that all presented themselves as 3-ofs for the entire case. And then you had just a couple of standout rares that had 2 instead of 3 or 5 instead of 6 in the case of Sumpork's map. My guess is it's with each case that it's a fixed print run. And a fixed print run, all you're doing is randomizing your legends, showcases, and overnumbered and slotting them in, randomly, quote unquote, in order to fill out the number of showcases and legends that you need to slot in. And then same would be true for your foils and commons and uncommons. Those are getting either slotted out and replaced with a showcase or a legend, legendary or a legend or a rare in some cases. But again, every single one of these rares here presented themselves as a 3-of, and every single one of the rares at top presented them as a 6-of, with the rare exception being slotting in a few here and there to make up for the showcase runes, legendaries, and so forth. It feels to me like it is fixed runs of all of these that are being run on a per case basis. Now, other TCGs have done this, and it creates problems. Number one, it's kind of lazy. I hate to accuse Riftbound this early in this game. They're only on their 3rd set of their TCG, but other TCGs have been caught in this exact same trap. What happens when you get lazy with how you randomize your print runs is you get box mapping. If we know that we are going to get, or we are supposed to get, 6 of all these legends, and there are certain slots where they are taking 1 out or 2 out and replacing that with a showcase, and if it's coming off of that print run exactly the same each time, which definitely feels like is the case here, then what that allows you to do is set out the packs in the exact order that you open them. You open 1 at random, figure out where that is on that print run map, and then you can work backwards from there in the case to figure out exactly where your showcase hits should be, where all of your showcase runes should be, where any potential overnumbered slot may be slotted in, and any legends. What that means for people who are buying this online or TCG Player in the store, what have you, if the store owner, if the vendor, if anybody you are purchasing from is opening part of this supply to sell singles, they are going to look at a case and they are going to say, in this one booster box, hell, we opened 3 of them. Or maybe they opened half of the booster boxes in that case, and they opened all the runes. And they also opened, let's say, 10 of the showcases and 2 overnumbereds, which is well above average. They'll take the rest of those boxes in that case and sell them to you. Hopefully your vendors are more trustworthy, but we have to account for the inevitable 1-2 offs, or, in my opinion, it's probably going to be more prevalent of a problem than 1 or 2 offs. It's going to get taken advantage of, and someone is going to be on the receiving end being taken advantage of. You are going to miss out on value in your boxes because of these fixed print runs and being able to play the odds as you work through a case. I'm half tempted to buy yet another case just to test these theories and show this in real time. But ultimately, after doing the EV check, Riftbound continues to go down in price. And we'll talk about why that it probably is here in just a little bit. But again, so when you look at any one of these boxes or cases, you start working halfway through the case, you're opening up above the average number that you should expect. You are then more profitable on those first 3 boxes. and your value or your return is obviously going to be diminished in the latter three, or latter however many you have left to open. It would be more worthwhile for that vendor then to take that and to sell those boxes remaining and go trade for another case. I'm sorry, go buy another case, maybe not trade for another case. At which then your vendor is going to rinse and repeat this process until they, more often than not, hit on the healthier margin, or end up just opening all the boxes because maybe their first half didn't hit well, so they know to open the rest of them, don't sell them. But on the cases where they do hit the majority of their stuff in the first half and they sell them, the market is being flooded with single booster boxes that appear to just be weak or have an insufficient number of showcases overnumbered, showcase runes, what have you. All in all, my advice, if you are looking at buying sealed product on this set, you almost have to buy it by the case. When you look at other TCGs, that is more feasible in Riftbound than it is in a lot of the other ones you could be purchasing right now. Your average booster box MSRP is $120. Your average case, that puts the MSRP at $720. Right now, those cases are going for somewhere between $680 and $750 for Riftbound Unleashed. Now, that number goes up slightly for other sets. Spirit Forge, we're looking at about $850 per box. And Origins, you're looking at somewhere between $1,100 to $1,250 per case. I'm sorry, I should have been saying case that entire time. Per case for all of these. On Unleashed, your return on investment, you appear to be just about breaking even. And that really only makes sense when you're seeing, more often than not, a fixed number of all of these different pieces in every single set. So if everyone's opening a case instead of just a box, you're always opening the same amount of MSRP for the same amount of value overall. Now, again, some showcases will sell for more. Some are going to get the Baron Nashor, so of course their box is going to be heavily inflated. But on the average, it should be basically right at MSRP because of this fixing. As luck or happenstance would have it, when I look at the EV on the two cases that I opened, case number one, it was, again, about $700 is what I paid for the case. As of this very moment on Tuesday, May 26th, my case is, the open value is right around $671. The two overnumbers that we did get in this, in that case, were Pike, the Blood Arbor Ripper, and we also opened the Vi Piltover Enforcer. Not the most valuable of overnumbered legends, but nonetheless, they're the two that we got that helped increase that value. Now, that alone right there is probably $100 to $150 of the value itself. Now, again, these numbers are dropping, unfortunately. I'll get to that in a second, but these numbers continue to decline. A couple days ago, right when I had done these EV calculations right off the rip, the total value of the cards in that case were selling for right around $750. So my guess is you're settling basically flat, dead even on MSRP value at this time. If you're paying MSRP, expect to open MSRP. The problem with that, from here forward, we have one more known release of Riftbound Unleashed, Spirit Forged, and Origins. They're going to be releasing more booster cases and boxes from that draft giveaway that they announced. And then they are going to be distributing through that same time period an additional print run of all of these to your vendors or your local stores. It is my opinion, and it's the opinion of a lot of other people streaming this game, that this is now being overprinted. A lot of this material is being opened, and as a result of all of this, you are seeing the prices just absolutely plummet after opening every time. Now, again, the first couple weeks, we expect prices to plummet. Everyone seems to be willing to overpay for their pre-orders for some reason, but almost every single time, the prices just have absolutely plummeted back to earth, and continue to decline. I look at my portfolio on what I have opened so far in Riftbound, and over the past 180 days, it's lost nearly half of its value. Back in February, we were running about $2,700 in items open so far between the cases. So this would have been right after we opened the Spirit Forged case, and now it's basically dropped all the way to $1,535. So not quite half, but we're closing on 40, maybe a little under 40% loss on that so far. Again, all signs point to this being overprinted. It's something that absolutely has to get brought under control by Riftbound. We need to be realistic about the number of players that are actually getting into it, and make sure that when somebody buys a box of this, that not only are they maybe have the potential to beat MSRP, but your stores get absolutely screwed in the process if they can't even sell this for MSRP. When you look on TCG right now, a case of Origins you can get for as cheap as $670 a case. MSRP at $120 a box puts you at $720 a case. Some of these vendors are currently taking a $50+ hit just to get rid of the stock that they have now, because they know that distribution is coming and they have to buy more. They don't have a choice. Distribution doesn't give them the choice. So not only by overprinting are you screwing over the secondary market by deflating the prices and the values of people's collections, but you're also screwing over your local game stores and vendors by forcing them to take on product and having to sell at a loss because we just don't have enough player base yet. I have no doubt Riftbound will get there. It is a great game. It's a different concept than a lot of others, and it's quick, fast-paced enough that it doesn't lose players' attention. And they're giving it enough attention right off the rip, with beautiful arts, really quick to react to problems in the sets within reason. It just has a lot of potential, and they definitely have the backing for it. Riftbound is not a company to probably be over the idea of losing a little bit of money in order to do what's right here. League of Legends, when their esports tournaments were first announced, they were losing money in that process. But ultimately they stuck to their guns and kept doing it and persevered, and now they're highly profitable at doing what they're doing in the esports world. Same is going to be true with Riftbound, I got to imagine. The first few sets, everyone should expect to be a little rough. Got to feel out the gameplay, feel out the market. I appreciate the attempt to beat the scalpers and make it so as they can't jack up the prices on all of us who are trying to play the game. But at the same time, we've got to find a better way to balance that effort. It's one thing to print a little bit more to stop the scalping, but when you've overprinted so much that everyone's losing value and the game stores are having to sell at less than MSRP, we've got a serious problem. Within 6 months after a set releases and you moved on to 2 other sets, you should expect to see that original set start to inflate. And then once it's finally completely out of print run, you absolutely should expect inflation to incur on that set. Now, I'm not saying it needs to double, triple, and quadruple instantaneously once it's out of print, but somebody should be able to buy a box, hold on to it, and expect a little bit of a decent return on it, and not have everything just immediately reprinted. So, that is my rambling for a couple of the issues that I have seen thus far. But I have not actually told you what the final running statistics were on these case openings. So let me do just that. When you look at any given case and you open all booster boxes within, there are 432 potential slots to get a foil common, a foil uncommon, a rare, legend, or a showcase, or an overnumbered. Within any case and within a booster pack, right? So 2 out of 3 of those slots we know have to be rares. They're the guaranteed rares. And then you have 1 extra foil slot. That could be a foil common, a foil uncommon, or an extra slot for a rare, legend, legendary, showcase, what have you. So what I did was I tried to break down the average number of foil commons and uncommons we were getting. And I tried to take that out of the available rare calculation, because I have to imagine if we're seeing fixing in these kind of values, you're going to see it in the foil commons and uncommons as well. If you're taking the easy route out on this stuff, you're definitely doing it on most of the other items within reason. So the way we determined this first is in case number 1, we calculated our total number of foil commons and uncommons, took that out of the equation. All right, so with 144 available extra foil slots out of our total 432 foil slots, 75 of those were foil commons, 26 were foil uncommons that were not battlefields, 17 were foil battlefields. That leaves the remaining 26 of those slots available for possible rare, legend, legendary, or showcase insertions. So out of that extra foil slot, the 144 cards of that extra slot, approximately 80%, a little north of 80% of all of those were foil commons, foil uncommons, and foil battlefields. Doesn't leave you with a whole lot of available guaranteed rare slots, let's say. So the remaining on those is right around 310, 314, I think is what that totals out to be. Yeah, total possible remaining 314. So we then took the total remaining possible rare plus slots. And out of 314, we got 194 rares, 69 legends, 37 legendary or epics. I don't know how everyone's referring to them here, but a lot of people are referring to them as legendaries. And 14 of those were showcases. Now, again, not counting the runes, because those only appear in the rune slot. And I did not calculate the rune slot. Again, this appears to be a fixed number. So those odds aren't actually odds. They are just, you're going to get one of each in every case. So what were those percentages? So of the rares, you can expect 61.78% of all of your openings to be rares. Let's say 22% will be legends. And that number is way too high. If 1 out of every 5 of your cards in the rare slot is legends, that's a problem. You just don't need all these legends. By overprinting these, they've lost all their value. This is why they're going for 10 to 25 cents a piece. And you have eaten up the slots for so many other possible cards. Legendaries, we opened, again, 37 in case number 1, so roughly 12% of the total available rare slots on that one. This leaves approximately 4.5% of all available rare slots to showcases. So again, 14 of those in total were opened out of the 314. That's about 4.5%. So 4.5% is your odds of opening a showcase in any booster box or any case. Realistically, we should be saying case. Because again, booster boxes are going to fluctuate based on what somebody has opened ahead of time if we're dealing with fixed numbers here. In case number 2, I'm going to run through the numbers again, but they're almost identical as we would expect them, right? So foil commons were 76. We were only 1 different there. Foil uncommons that were not battlefields were 30. We were 4 off there. Foil battlefields, we were at 13, which we were at 17 in case number 1. Same total number. One different on the total number of foil commons and uncommons. So again, really feeling like fixed numbers here, or at least close to fixed numbers. Out of the then total possible remaining rare slots, we had 313, got 193 rares. That still checks out at roughly 61.5 or 62% for rares. Legends, same number, 69, so exactly 22% on those. Legendaries, we opened 38, so that was the one difference in this one. We opened 1 more legendary than the last case. Again, that number comes out to be approximately 12% of all your available rare slots to be legendary. And then again, 14 were the number of showcases we opened, the exact same as the last case, making your odds of opening a showcase approximately 4.5% of any box that hasn't been, picked over by a store owner or a vendor. So again, breakdown, that's just the exact number, case by case. If I open one more case and confirm that these numbers were exactly the same across every opening, I think we would have a serious problem in this game, something that would need to be addressed rather quickly, because the next thing that we should expect is for vendors to catch on to this, for all of your stores to catch on to this, begin opening cases for singles, and the moment that they get their big hits, they stop and they sell greatly weakened booster boxes to the market. And all those people are just going to be losing out on value. In no way, shape, or form could I recommend to somebody buying singleton booster boxes. You have to buy a case at a time if you're going to do that right. Again, looking at other TCGs, collector booster boxes of Magic the Gathering are going to run you $400 or $500. In Riftbound, you can get 6 cases, or I'm sorry, 6 booster boxes or a full case for 1.5 times that. You're definitely getting more in, let's say, card value, at least quantity of cards, compared to what you are currently in Magic the Gathering. Now, whether or not Riftbound will hold that value based on the print numbers that they continue to release, that's a whole another story. That's probably another video, in fact. So, in case number 2, just to end this on a more positive note, we did open an additional 2 overnumbereds. And again, I'm hearing people say you should expect 3 to 5 per case, up to 1 per booster box or something like that. I have never seen that. In every case I've opened, the most I've gotten in overnumbered is 2, and that's it. But again, to end on a more positive note, we did pick up the Rengar overnumbered. Let's see if I can actually get this to focus. Good Lord. Hey. So, Rengar overnumbered, that is signed. You're chasing those for basically any positive value in your case, or your booster box if you still choose to go after a booster box at a time. But that seems to be the only way you're really making any money back right now, against your purchase of a case of this. Right now, my case number 2 is selling for above MSRP at just under $800, about $795. And it's really riding on the coattails of this Rengar, because it alone right now is going for around $300. It itself is running almost half the value of the case that we opened. That's also a bit of a problem for this market as well. If without a collector's box series like Magic the Gathering does, you're going to see this kind of trend continue, where we are continually opening up these boxes in just massive quantities in order to fish out these few rares, or these few overnumbered showcases that are signed. The more we do that, the more all of your other showcases are going to significantly drop in value, because obviously they're going to be opened significantly more. And then also the upward pressure that puts on Riftbound to then print more, because supply has all of a sudden dried up out of nowhere. So again, you're seeing the people that are making real money on this stuff, or potentially real money on Riftbound, are the people who are dedicating enough to open the cases in order to open signature overnumbered cards, or just guarantee a higher likelihood of getting something more valuable. Again, this does not create for a healthy market. The problems I see right now are entirely preventable, if they choose to. It does require you to be more sophisticated with your print runs, instead of fixing the number of cards that we're getting. If in fact they are, a higher level of randomization needs to occur. And I get the downside that comes with that. That does mean some booster boxes are going to be worse, and some could be significantly better. But at the same time, another way to solve that is don't focus so much on printing all of these excess cards, or trying to print 6 of all these rares to devalue them to the extent that they're only 10 cents to a quarter each. Instead, print a few more of the showcases, so that way, or legendaries, so that people can hit a higher percentage of those in these booster boxes and feel like they are still winning at the end of the day. And then we're still keeping about the same level of rarity to the showcase signature cards. That will maintain their value and not completely diminish the value on everything else. So again, Riftbound has the potential to be a great TCG, a great game at the end of the day. We've just got to get on the right track with how these print runs are occurring and how much we're actually injecting into the market. Let's be honest with ourselves, be realistic about our player base. Our player base right now is nowhere near what Magic the Gathering is, and even further below Pokemon. And if Pokemon is struggling to print enough of their cards and seeing a continual rise and increase in their MSRPs, and we are in Riftbound are seeing a decrease and stores struggling to even sell them for MSRP, you know you have a player base problem right now. We have to increase our player base first before we can increase our print runs. Again, it just comes down to Riftbound being honest with themselves in more than one way. Honest about the player base, the quantities, making sure they balance out, and be honest about how we manufacture these print runs. Fixed quantities is not the way to go on a per case basis. Ultimately, I don't know what the final solution is, and I hate to kind of leave us on that sour note, but that's the unfortunate truth of where it is. Maybe in another video we can talk about how we fix that problem. But if other TCGs have done this so well, I'm sure Riftbound can figure it out. They probably just need time, and they probably need to be made aware that we now know that this appears to be going on and needs to be resolved. Again, I'm not the only one that's complained about the overproduction or the overprinting. I think that they will start to catch on with that, but they're probably not going to turn their backs on this latest distribution. They're going to follow through with the lottery they just put out, issue even more product. So final thoughts on that. If you are going to be purchasing anything, I would probably wait a little while. We are going to see more hit the market about the same time frame that wave number 2 did, from their lottery to their actual release and opening date. I don't know how long that was. I need to go back and look. But if we wait about that long, you're going to see additional numbers hit the market. Prices will further sink before they increase, because shortly around the corner, we're going to have another set. And players are then going to have to decide, those with limited funds will have to decide, are they going to save up money to make sure they can purchase the new set when it releases, or are they going to fork over some of that cash to older sets in order to get it on the cheap and hold on to it for a while to open for some stuff that they didn't have. Who knows what this market holds out for the future. But those are the problems as I see them right now. Again, I'm optimistic because they are easy to address. Not printing more cards is very easy. You just stop. The card fixing, the quantities that are being shipped per case, that one may be a little bit trickier. You may have to spend a little bit more money into your randomization process. Because again, to me, right now, these boxes look mappable, which is a big concern for anybody that is buying sealed product or product in general. It's important to understand what that means. I may do some videos on that now that I have seen this trend play out, see if this is in fact mappable, and report back to you guys on that. That will require me to buy a couple more cases. So this may take some time for me to actually sit down and think about how I'm going to do that, and then follow through, of course. Maybe I'll do that with the 2 cases that I plan on buying of the next set. Spend a little bit more time actually mapping out the packs and tracking what I actually open in each to see if there is some sort of rhythm or pattern to what their print runs actually look like. Again, I'm not doing so to take advantage of the situation. I plan on opening everything that I buy. I'm not really planning on selling anything unless I get copious amounts of it, or like these legends. I'll probably give these away at shows because I have no use for 12 Lilias. I'm not even going to play one. But it would be good to know if there is any truth to what I'm saying about these being possibly in fixed print runs and pretty easily mapped, because in reality they may just be moving one car or one booster pack out of a box here and there to replace it with a pack that they know has showcases. Lot to digest on that one. I'm sorry that I'm kind of rambling here towards the end, I'm going to end on one more note. So, as I mentioned in video number 1 and 2, we did open Baron Nashor. Now, that is in no way calculated as part of the EV of any of these cases I have opened. That was opened in a random vault box that I bought at Micro Center. So that, $1,300-$1,500 of EV there is not being calculated into anything that I have presented in this analysis, this short series of videos. But it is something else to keep an eye on. So I know early on we were talking about how it seemed like more of these were being opened than once thought. The original day one eBay sales were going for like $10,000 and people were actually paying it, or at least close to. I know the day I opened mine, I went and checked recent sales, and the most recent sale was $4,500. Again, that has continued to decline. We're at somewhere between $1,300 and $1,500 right now. It looks as though it may have settled out to a certain extent, which is still surprising to me. I think there's still a lot of product to open on this one. I think we're still going to see more hit the market. I think there's still potential for the decline on this to continue. If I were really hunting for this as a single, I'm probably still waiting, but probably won't have to wait too much longer to really see the total quantities that have hit the market. But maybe give it a little bit more time and think about it before you make this purchase. There's still some room to decline. We'll keep an eye on it as it continues, and maybe has a tick up here in the near future. But right now, all numbers point to it either kind of leveling off or still possibly declining a little bit. So all in all, great art of this set. I like this set. It has a lot of potential to further the game. It's more so just the process of the card printing, what you're receiving in a case, and the issues surrounding that one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I plan to do more of these because this is certainly an interesting topic. I want to follow this through to the end and somehow confirm whether or not these are mappable, to help you guys protect yourselves, make the right choices, especially if you're treating these as an investment piece. Maybe on the sealed side you'll be okay, but if you are opening these as singles to play or to hold on to, there's some cautionary tales to be had here, especially when it comes to fixed numbers of all of these weird cards, your showcase runes, things of that nature. And if the number of showcases and everything else are fixed, there is potentially a maximum or an average EV that even goes into that slot of rare. So we'll dive into that more probably as we continue on to the next set. I may also be going back in time here a little bit, buying another case of Spirit Forged or Origins. I am expecting both of those to take another dip because of the next print run that's out, so I plan to buy more of both of those. And I plan to do the same thing. I'm curious on the EV, the return that you should see in these boxes, and if we are seeing anything like what we're seeing here in similar fashion. Are we seeing the same number of rares and legends? Seals were in the first set. Did we see a fixed number of seals in a case? I have no idea because unfortunately I bought my boxes individually. And now that I see what I see here, I'm kind of regretting that decision and wondering if that's why I may have a lesser EV on my Origins product. Again, I am rambling. This video has gone on plenty long enough, so I'm going to call it here. I hope you guys have enjoyed the analysis that I brought to you. I hope you heed some of the words of caution. As I mentioned, I hope it doesn't discourage you from playing the game because it is a fantastic game, fantastic arts, and it has the backing of a company that I think will put the money into it to make sure that it's successful for not only them, but for us. So I do see it as a game that's going to continue to be successful, regardless of our few stumbles and hiccups along the way. They will resolve themselves, and this game will get better. We just need to give it time. The producers need to obviously learn from some of their potential mistakes. And again, the developers seem to be solid. So I think we will see this continue on the upward. I hope you guys are opening as much, if not more, value than I am in all of your booster boxes. And I hope to talk to you guys here soon with even more Riftbound content. I will be starting some other content here soon, so stay tuned for that if you are interested in any other types of investing that does not strictly involve TCGs. Um, like I mentioned, we will be getting into discussions about gold, silver, other investable assets that are more on the tangible side, less on the, I won't say volatile side, but they have a more personable feel to them than your stock, than your average stock does on the stock market. Um, what what often is the case in the stock market, we are so volatile when it comes to what gets printed in the news, whereas a lot of our more tangible assets are have a tendency to not be so volatile because there is a slower speed with which pricing has to process there. Yes, these things are sold online. Prices can move quickly. But when you have something that's a little bit more tangible and you're investing in something that's considered a little bit more alternative or niche, the prices tend to not fluctuate as quickly, except to more the upside I've experienced when it becomes something that's sought after. You take gold, for example, here recently. Gold has been heavily sought after, as has silver. We've seen silver prices quadruple in the last 5 years. Those are unheard of returns. So I will spend some time talking about that in some other videos. But again, I've said this twice already, and I'm going to say it again. I am rambling at this point. I hope you guys have enjoyed this series. I will bring you guys plenty more content. There's more Riftbound to come, but I will probably be taking a sidebar to do a few other videos of different assets at this time. I will return to Riftbound as soon as possible, though. Take care.